You know, I sat down about 6 months ago with Jeff Immelt, CEO of GE, and he's on the President's Jobs Council, and he said, look, it may not be create the most jobs, but one thing that you can really do to stimulate jobs is ease visa restrictions, and that would do a huge amount very quickly for the travel industry. You're in the midst of the travel industry. What would that do for jobs in the United States, and specifically at Marriott?
The opportunity is overwhelming, actually, and the President announced something about visa policy last week in Orlando, which is a great first step. You look at China alone, within the next few years, there will be 100 million outbound travelers from China. If the U.S. had its fair share, which is essentially what we get from other parts of the world, we'd have about 10% of that. That's 10 million visitors a year. They stay for a week on average or more. 70 million room nights. The U.S. hotel room industry, every room in the country is less than 5 million rooms. So if you think about that, that's 2 weeks in every single hotel room in the United States from one country.
But is it going to get done?
It'll take a long time for us to get there.
I.e. not this year in Washington.
We're not going to get to 10 million. But if we can get wait times down to get a visa in China from 90 days to 30 days, if we can get the word out on the street in China that you can get a visa to get to the United States, if we can get visa waiver for Brazil, if we can get wait times down elsewhere, we can explode these numbers.
You know, looking at China specifically, you've said you see it becoming as big an economy as the United States in the next 10 to 15 years. So likely could happen under your tenure as head of Marriott. The number of hotel rooms you see doubling to 1 million in 10 years. How do you scale for that?
Well, we're hiring tens of thousands of people in China alone.
Every year?
Every year, yeah. And we scale as we go the best we can, right? So we're looking for leadership. We're looking for great future talent. We're importing talent, of course. We're working with the schools to train people. We're trying to pay and build careers in a way that keeps people with us. And we're opening lots of hotels, which creates lots of opportunity, which allows us to do more and more of that. But it's a step at a time.
In the United States, you have a range of hotels in terms of cost scale, right? So I'm wondering if you're seeing this tale of two Americas play out, where the wealthier and the business traveler is still there in force, but the formerly middle-class family that has fallen on hard times, seen the bottom fall out of their earning ability, is not staying anymore.
Business in the United States in all of our segments is really pretty good. Now, the hardest hit segments are not hotel stayers, and so that probably doesn't hit us all that much. But you know, we've talked about the 1% a lot in the United States recently. The number of households with incomes over $100,000 is probably 25 to 30%. These are upper middle class families. It's not that the world is perfect for them. Things are not necessarily back to where they were in 2007. But by and large, those people are back on the road. They're taking vacations. They're traveling for their jobs. And all of that is playing out pretty positively for us.
What do you make of the 1% versus 99% argument, or just how it's playing out in this country at this point in time?
Yeah.
What do you make of that as a chief executive?
Well, as a rabid moderate, personally, this is the worst time in politics because both parties are running to either extreme, and they leave the middle as if we don't exist, when in fact the middle is a much more significant part of our populace, our electoral.
You consider yourself?
I am in the middle. Now, I'm obviously blessed from an economic perspective. I come from a very simple background, but I'm blessed from an economic perspective. I do think there are real issues around wealth and tax policy, and we need to make sure that we get those right. But it really shouldn't be about demagoguing the wealthy. It shouldn't really be about saying we're going to pull people back, but it should be about saying how do we get the balance right? How do we, in fact, create opportunities for the people who need them most, which I think is more about education than it is about tax policy.
So would a Republican in the White House, no idea who the GOP candidate will be at this time, especially with how quickly things are moving, would a Republican in the White House make a difference from an American business perspective and a jobs perspective than this administration is?
I think a president from either party could make a difference if they focused on long-term training and job growth and policies that support that. I think a short-term focus from either side on lowering taxes for the wealthy or on raising taxes for the wealthy really begs the main question and is not going to change anything.
Is there a regulation in Washington right now that is stopping Marriott from hiring more than, say, it could at this point, looking at demand as you see it?
No, I don't think we are holding back on hiring based on politics or based on the regulatory environment. We are, by and large, competing in a non-regulated industry. It's not that there isn't government oversight, of course, but we're not dealing with chemicals. We're not dealing with a huge amount of sensitive issues from a regulatory perspective. So we are growing. I think the U.S. economy would grow more and we would hire more if our economy was more robust. And in turn, that's going to depend on job growth, probably in other industries.